Tonight, new details about that incredible Pearson airport landing and crash, including dramatic new video that raises as many questions as it seems to answer.
Winter airports, gusty conditions, it becomes more challenging.
Come on! We're covering all the angles, the injured, the eyewitnesses, and the quick thinking of first responders. Then breaking down that landing gone wrong, a meticulous timeline, and 2 off-duty paramedics springing into action.
It seemed reasonable to put my uniform jacket on and join the paramedics.
Good to see a friendly face.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. One of them was a passenger. After talks between the United States and Russia, Donald Trump's apparent message to Ukraine.
You should have never started it. You could have made a deal.
From CBC News, this is The National with Chief Correspondent Adrienne Arsenault.
Thank you for joining us. One day after a near catastrophe at Toronto's Pearson Airport, we have a starkly clearer picture of how that passenger jet crash landed, literally. The most revealing video to surface so far shows the fiery spectacle that ended with the plane upside down, the wreckage still blocking 2 major runways. Tonight, only 2 of the injured remain in hospital, 19 others now discharged, and perhaps all 80 who were on board still processing their seemingly unlikely survival. Well, ahead, we have fresh first-person accounts from in the plane and on the tarmac, plus new details on the windy conditions and how what could have been a deadly disaster is instead a survival story. Nicole Williams begins with the progress of the investigation.
The terrifying moment the Delta Airlines plane touched down and went out of control.
All of a sudden, I just remember being fully sideways.
Oh, no,
New cell phone footage shows the CRJ 900 as it landed hard, catching fire, skidding forward, and flipping to the right.
I was looking down and just seeing like sparks and flames and whatever was grinding against the ground, and then it happened pretty dang quick, and we were just upside down hanging from our seatbelts.
Plumes of smoke rising into the air before fire crews arrived to douse the flames. All 80 people on board alive, but 21 in all taken to hospital, including 1 child who has since been released, along with most others, many treated for head and back injuries and fuel exposure. In the freezing cold, dozens of investigators now trying to determine what went wrong, already making some progress.
We've already removed the cockpit voice recorder, the flight data recorder, and we've sent them to our lab for further analysis.
As the accident transitions,
the airport CEO says it was a brutal week for air travel, more than 50 centimeters of snow falling over 5 days, grounding hundreds of flights in the process.
Monday was a clear day, though, and it was an operational recovery day for Toronto Pearson.
Tower, wind 270-23, gust 33, clear to line on 823.
But this audio from air traffic control warned pilots of tricky conditions on the runway.
Yeah, slight bump in the glide path.
At this point, there is no other explanation for what caused this crash landing.
And so, Nicole, I suppose that wreckage has to stay where it is for a while.
That's right. The plane is on 2 runways for at least 2 more days. And yes, that is going to cause more flight delays. But officials say it is important things remain as they are so transportation officials can get a good understanding of exactly what happened. We have more than 20 personnel from the Transportation Safety Board, U.S. officials, someone from the plane manufacturer taking a look at things, trying to find some answers.
All right. Nicole Williams, thank you. So let's pick up on what pilots are pointing to, the gusty conditions. Obviously, we won't know the cause of the crash for a while, but we can get some insight from a private pilot who's also a meteorologist, Johanna Wagstaff. So, Joe, can we talk about the winds at the time that plane was landing and what that plane is capable of handling?
So, Adrienne, we have a weather report from Pearson 12 minutes before the incident. We know winds were coming from the west, gusting to 65 kilometers per hour. Blowing snow was also reported, generally good visibility. Planes try and land into the wind. It helps slow the plane down, but in this case, there's what we call a crosswind component. So winds were coming about 40 degrees from the right. Now, every manufacturer and airliner has a crosswind limit. A lot of that comes down to pilot discretion. The CRJ 900 has a limit of about 69 kilometers per hour when winds are directly from one side. A lot of variables to parse out. We also know the conditions of the runway, some snow patches, but Adrian, it was a 200-foot wide runway. Only 160 feet were shoveled, so it would have looked narrower from above. We can't say if any of these factors contributed, but they're ones that they will be thinking about a lot in the next few days.
And when a pilot is faced with those conditions, what are your options for how you handle that landing?
There's a couple things you can do to manage that crosswind. The recommendation for this type of plane is something we call crabbing. So you actually angle your nose towards the wind. The body of the plane is still moving forward on approach, and then just before landing, you decrab or straighten out. And then you flare the nose. You lift the nose just enough in those last few seconds to slow you down even more, get the main wheels on the ground, make it a more gentle landing. So we're also watching the rate of descent, which was higher than average based on flight radar data. Again, we can't say if these were factors, but these are variables pilots are trained to manage, but for sure investigators will be asking these ones over the next few days.
Okay, this helps. Thanks, Joe. CBC News meteorologist Johanna Wagstaff in Vancouver tonight. So already we're getting a better idea of why such a violent landing ended with no lives lost. Jamie Strachan looked into that and found there were several likely factors.
Delta Flight 4819 slams into the ground, careens down the runway, in the process loses a wing before flipping over. So how did all 80 people on board survive that?
Having all those people leave that aircraft, it really is an engineering marvel.
The plane's construction, a major factor, says this aviation expert.
The aircraft is designed to break apart like that, designed to have crumple zones, just like you would in your car to absorb that impact, so that it keeps that fuselage intact, protects those inside.
For those on board, the entire crash a scary, surreal blur.
There was like a big fireball out this left side of the plane. And when we got finished, it was I was upside down.
Everything, drop it!
Passengers credit the calm crew for clearing the plane quickly.
Just grateful to be here and grateful for how well the passengers acted and how well the flight crew responded and that everyone was able to get off the plane.
Flight crews prepare for even the most extreme scenarios, its union says.
That fire could have been much worse. That could engulf the plane in about 90 seconds, and that's why we're trained to get people off in that amount of time.
We need emergency services, runway 23. Yeah, we're on it. Our fire truck's coming out of the hall there.
Another key factor, firefighters directly assigned to Pearson Airport were on the scene minutes after the crash.
They were able to quickly knock down the spot fires. Once the fires were knocked down, the crews did make entry and perform primary search and rescue.
For those aboard Flight 4819, a sense of thanks that everything went right after everything went so very wrong.
At the end of the day, everybody's going to be fine, which is pretty insane to say after a plane crashing and flipping over on fire.
Jamie Strachan, CBC News, Toronto.
So we have a lot more on the plane crash in just a few minutes, and I'll speak with two paramedics, one on board that flight traveling to Toronto for a conference, and his friend and colleague waiting to pick him up.
Had a flight radar up just to make sure he was coming in on time, and watching that out of the corner of my eye, see a big black plume of smoke, but there's a bit of a delay on the radar. So I said, heads up.
Mike sends a quick series of texts. Who are you flying with? You okay? On the tarmac, Pete responds, remarkably. Good, Mike continues. The plane immediately ahead of you looks like it crashed. That's mine, Pete responds. And then he sends this picture. Our conversation coming up in about 20 minutes. Now, just shy of the third anniversary of the war in Ukraine, clear evidence today that the U.S. has dramatically changed its stance. Donald Trump now apparently blaming the enduring violence on Ukraine. Paul Hunter shows us new accusations and peace talks about Ukraine without Ukraine.
To hear it from U.S. President Donald Trump, Russia's war on Ukraine seems to be perplexing Russia.
Russia wants to do something. They want to stop the savage barbarianism. I mean, what's going on over there.
And on Russia's long-standing demand Ukraine hold fresh elections, he's good with that.
Wouldn't the people of Ukraine have to say, like, you know, it's been a long time since we've had an election? That's not a Russia thing. That's something coming from me and coming from many other countries also.
On top of that, from his home in Florida, Trump seemed to blame Russia's war on Ukraine on Ukraine.
You've been there for 3 years. You should have ended it 3 years. You should have never started it. You could have made a deal. I could have made a deal for Ukraine that would have given them almost all of the land, everything, almost all of the land, and no people would have been killed and no city would have been demolished.
A deal, Trump seemed to suggest, in which Ukraine would have given Russia the land it wanted before Russia simply took it. Meanwhile, in Saudi Arabia, a remarkable meeting. The U.S. and Russia together on how to end the war in Ukraine, but without Ukraine at the table.
The goal is, and we agreed on what the goal is to bring an end to this conflict in a way that's fair, enduring, sustainable, and acceptable to all parties involved.
The conversation, said Russia's foreign minister, was, I believe, very useful. We did not just listen, but we heard each other. The apparent turnaround in U.S.-Russia relations over Ukraine comes after years of massive sanctions on Russia under the Joe Biden administration. The two countries now agreeing to boost relations further and say more talks on Ukraine will follow. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky called the U.S.-Russia talks a surprise, adding, no decision can be made on how to end the war without Ukraine. Alarming for Ukraine, but so too for many in the rest of Europe. European leaders now set for a meeting, including with Canada, on what this may mean for all of them going forward. Paul Hunter, CBC News, Washington.
This country will have to wait another month and a half to find out exactly how big Donald Trump's planned auto tariffs will be. But today, when pressed by the media, he ballparked a figure.
Yeah, I probably will tell you that on April 2nd, but it'll be in the neighborhood of 25%.
The president plans to announce the auto tariff rate one day after members of his cabinet are due to deliver reports outlining options for a whole range of import duties. As Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency keeps swinging a broad axe, it is making new claims about the money it's saving. That is a result of government employees fired, agencies dismantled, and workers resigning in protest. Katie Simpson is in Washington with the latest on DOGE.
Elon Musk has got to go!
The protests are becoming more frequent and getting louder. Voters angry about the federal government purge led by Elon Musk and the Department of Government Efficiency, called DOGE.
He was not elected to anything. He should not have this much power.
According to the DOGE website, its total estimated savings are $55 billion. For context, the U.S. Treasury spent $6.75 trillion last fiscal year. Fraud detection, contract lease cancellations, and workforce reductions are among the reasons cited for savings.
I got elected on the basis of making our government stronger and smaller. They're paying millions of people that shouldn't be paid.
Trump's agenda getting a major win in the courts, a federal judge rejecting an effort led by Democratic states to pause his government restructuring plan. So far, there have been firings at more than a dozen federal agencies, the latest being the FAA, Health and Human Services, the Food and Drug Administration, and the National Park Service. Advocates warn that includes park search and rescue crews.
One of the things that we're really worried about are if people don't have everything they need when they're in the park, there won't be enough search and rescue folks to help them if they are in need.
Musk's DOGE team continues its push to access sensitive information, including at the Social Security Administration, the agency's leader quitting reportedly in protest. But Trump's Republican allies in Congress are fully supporting him.
These are bloated programs. You have no-show employees that are angry that they're having to go back to work, that they've moved, and they're not even in the districts of where their original jobs were.
I don't think it's a crisis. While White House officials berate journalists questioning the plan.
Then why are you not celebrating these cuts? If you agree there is waste, if you agree there is abuse, if you agree there is corruption, why are you not celebrating the cuts, the reforms that are being instituted?
The changes have prompted waves of lawsuits, and the pace is so quick it's hard to keep up with. The latest tonight, there are now cuts at FEMA, and Trump has ordered the Department of Justice to fire all remaining Biden-era attorneys.
Crucially, though, Katie, from everything we've seen, it's pretty clear Elon Musk still has the full confidence of the president.
Yeah, Trump and Musk sat down for an interview that's airing right now on Fox News, and Musk outright said he loves the president. And in the time he spent with Trump so far, Musk says he's never seen the president do anything wrong, cruel, or unfair. Both men are standing by their work despite criticism, insisting they have the will of the people since they campaigned together.
All right, thank you for this. Katie Simpson in Washington tonight. So to the latest in the Middle East ceasefire now. Hamas says it will release 6 hostages this week instead of the expected 3, and that it will return the bodies of 4 others. In a televised speech, Hamas confirmed that the remains to be returned Thursday will include the youngest person taken hostage, as well as his brother and their mother. The abduction of the Bibas family was caught on security camera during the October 7th attack. 6 living hostages will be released Saturday. Israel is expected to release Palestinian prisoners. Well, a Canadian woman has been arrested in her home country of Sierra Leone after taking part in a reality TV show.
Please, Sierra Leone, cast your vote for our hunt.
In prison for weeks on what advocates say is a trumped-up charge.
It's horrifying for sure.
If you're a fan of kosher or Himalayan salt, you may be missing a critical ingredient.
They don't remember what iodine deficiency looked like.
And turning a snowstorm into an extreme sport.
It's really the best time ever.
We're back in 2. This huge sinkhole in an English village swallowed parts of a road and a front yard and forced people to evacuate nearby homes and buildings. Godstone is about 30 kilometers south of London. The sinkhole first appeared on the street yesterday. Local media says by this afternoon, it had grown to at least 20 meters in size. Well, Pope Francis has developed pneumonia in both his lungs, with the Vatican saying his condition remains complex. So those are supporters in Rome gathering outside the hospital praying for his recovery. The 88-year-old pontiff has been there since Friday, suffering from a respiratory infection, but the Vatican says he remains in good spirits. The family of a Canadian woman being held in a Sierra Leone prison is growing increasingly worried for her well-being. She was arrested in December on a live reality TV show after an old social media post was made public in which she criticized the country's president and first lady. Aaron Collins picks up the story.
This reality TV show shot in Sierra Leone, a little too real for one Canadian contestant arrested on live television. A dual citizen, Howa Hunt, has called Calgary home for more than a decade, traveling to her birth country to take part in the show.
Please, Sierra Leone, cast your vote for our hunt.
Arrested for this 2023 social media post criticizing Sierra Leone's president and first lady. Hunt has been in jail since late December, worrying for her family in Canada.
It's horrifying for sure. Not being able to communicate with her often and not knowing how she's doing.
What is known about Alicia Hunt's mother largely gleaned through social media posts.
Your mom posted a video apologizing, right?
My mom did post.
Like days after being arrested, a month ago.
Yeah. While she was in custody of the police, which, we find highly suspicious.
I'm really sorry. Again, I'm remorseful. Apologetic towards the family.
Despite that apology days after her arrest, Howa Hunt has been denied bail 3 times, her case being closely followed by Amnesty International.
We are really concerned about the arbitrary arrest and detention of Howa Hunt because we believe by now she will have been released.
The Canadian government on the case too, writing in a statement they are in contact with local authorities and providing consular service. Howa Hunt isn't the only person recently detained in Sierra Leone for being critical of the government. This Dutch journalist arrested and released just last week.
We've seen
a situation where African leaders who had authoritarian tendencies have been emboldened by Trump's attacks on the media.
Back in Canada, Howell Hunt's daughter is working to get her out of jail, making plans for her homecoming.
Give her the biggest hug. Yeah, for sure.
Until then, she'll continue to scroll for updates, waiting for her mother's return. Aaron Collins, CBC News, Calgary.
Heritage Minister Pascale St-Onge will not seek re-election, according to a Radio-Canada source. This week, she's expected to unveil her proposal to modernize CBC Radio-Canada's mandate in the Broadcasting Act. St-Onge plans to complete her term as minister and MP. Well, a serious health problem, which was all but eliminated in Canada, could be making a comeback. And researchers say the wide selection of fancy salts on grocery store shelves could be part of the reason why. Jennifer Yoon explains.
Canadians have so many salt choices now. Kosher salt, Himalayan rock salt, sea salt. None of these have iodine added like regular table salt does. It's an essential but rare mineral needed for thyroid function.
And it's very critical for development.
In Canada today, almost 12% of the population could have moderate to severe iodine deficiency, say researchers. And a new study out of Quebec suggests pregnant women are not getting enough iodine in the first trimester of pregnancy. That could lead to a child being born with cretinism, a condition this Toronto pediatrician was astonished to see in a 17-year-old.
She was about this tall, had the classical face of cretinism, and was intellectually delayed, severe intellectual deficits.
Cretinism is irreversible and comes about when a baby doesn't get enough iodine in the womb. It's very rare in Canada since the government started adding iodine to table salt in the 1950s.
The manufacturing has changed and the diet, people's diet have changed. We're starting to see iodine deficiency again.
Another way iodine deficiency can manifest: goiters.
People alive today were not around in the 1920s. They don't remember what iodine deficiency looked like or, how devastating it was.
The deficiency is also associated with cognitive impairment, infertility, and stunted growth.
So this is how many days worth of iodine?
Roughly 50 days.
But a little goes a long way in fixing the problem, says this researcher.
We need more research and evidence to support practices to ensure that the population as a whole has adequate iodine in their diet.
There are other ways to make sure Canadians are getting enough iodine through mineral-rich food like seafood and dairy, and for pregnant women, prenatal vitamins. Jennifer Yoon, CBC News, Toronto.
Passengers on that terrifying plane crash are still reeling from what happened, and so are the friends who witnessed it.
Watching that out of the corner of my eye, see a big black plume of smoke, but there's a bit of a delay on the radar. So I said, heads up.
Our exclusive interview with a passenger and his friend who ran to help.
There was a usefulness to have me there.
And
I was just in a plane crash. Oh my God.
More clues as to why that plane flipped on its roof.
From what the passengers have said, the airplane hit very firmly.
About that's Andrew Chang unpacks what could have gone wrong. The National breaks down the stories shaping our world. Next. Coyotes are familiar neighbors in Canada's cities, and while they normally stay hidden, spikes in sightings do occur. As Inayat Singh reports, residents of one downtown Toronto neighborhood are calling on the city to help after a spate of coyote attacks.
He's trying to drag my dog with him, and I'm screaming and I'm kicking at the coyote to let go.
Residents in this downtown Toronto neighborhood have recorded over 50 coyote attacks. They poured out their frustration at the city at a recent virtual meeting.
We do feel like a lot of what you're saying to us is tone deaf and disconnected. We need a solution. The solutions you're giving us do not work.
But people who study urban coyotes say the role they play in a city's ecosystem is complex.
Ultimately, I think we want to coexist with coyotes. And even if we didn't want to, it would not be possible to get rid of coyotes in urban areas.
That's because they eat pests like mice and rats and protect native plants while staying mostly out of the way of humans. Part of the reason they might be extra aggressive now is because it's their mating season.
And so if they see dogs or that type of thing, they may see that as a threat to their territory and to their mating bond.
Garrett says knowing about mating season can help people be extra aware and take special precautions like dog walking in groups, but experts say a final option is culling because relocation doesn't work.
They come into conflict in their new location, or they try to come back to their original territory, reestablishing the conflict there.
If people encounter coyotes, the best advice is not to run away. Instead, make loud noises to scare them off and use simple ways to fight back.
And we gave these to our volunteers so that when they chased the coyote shouting at them, they could throw these tennis balls at the coyotes, intimidating them from a much greater distance.
A gentle way to deal with a sometimes dangerous but generally helpful neighbor. Inayat Singh, CBC News, Toronto.
Now it's time to dig deeper into the stories shaping our world. We break down the plane crash at Pearson Airport in Toronto and how everyone got out alive.
I was just in a plane crash. Oh my God.
In the hours after this stunning plane crash at Toronto's Pearson Airport, investigators are trying to sort out what went wrong.
Windy crash fire rescue on the runway.
In our special coverage, how it unfolded on the plane and the tarmac from two paramedic friends right in the middle of it.
It was a lot of relief to have someone you knew suddenly literally come into the bus and be a part of that.
But first, second by second, we break down how Delta Flight 4819 ended up slamming into the runway.
Reports indicate there was a crosswind for sure.
And the fast response that saved everyone on board. So it started as a routine flight from Minneapolis to Toronto with 80 people on board. CBC's Lauren Bird walks us through how it ended.
11:34 a.m. local time, Delta Flight 4819 takes off from the Minneapolis St. Paul International Airport after a 64-minute delay. After about an hour and a half in the air, at about 2 p.m. Eastern, pilots get the all clear to land on runway 23 from air traffic control.
Clear to land, 23, Endeavour, 4819.
These audio clips haven't been independently verified by CBC News. The airport had been under pressure all weekend, dealing with 2 heavy snowstorms in just a few days. Winds were gusting up to 60 kilometers an hour at this time.
Reports indicate there was a crosswind for sure, and it was a gusty crosswind of about 10-knot increments.
Earlier that morning, Pearson Airport tweeted, "The snow has stopped coming down, but frigid temperatures and high winds are moving in. Our airfield team has continued their work throughout the night to clear critical areas so planes can safely arrive and depart." At 2:13, the plane touches down on runway 23.
Oh, fuck! Oh, no, 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 no.
The plane caught fire, its wing snapped off, and it flipped over.
We have a huge emergency on 23. Windy crash fire rescue on the runway.
The plane came to a halt upside down. Then came the race to get out.
Drop it! Come on!
The 80 people on board clambered through debris to find their way onto the runway.
I was just in a plane crash. Oh my God.
At 2:58, Toronto Pearson says emergency teams are responding. All passengers and crew are accounted for. Police, fire crews, and paramedics arrived on scene. Incredibly, no one died. At 4:33 p.m., Delta says that several people had been taken to hospital, most with minor injuries. Our primary focus is taking care of those impacted. And by 5 p.m., flights at Pearson had started moving again, though 2 runways remained closed. There are still a lot of questions about how and why this happened. An investigation by the Transportation Safety Board of Canada is underway.
One of those on board, a paramedic traveling to Toronto for a conference. We brought you his story exclusively last night. Well, tonight we have a new perspective to add. Waiting to pick him up, a friend and colleague. I spoke with both of them about what happened in the seconds before and after the crash. To look at it coming in, that Delta flight initially seemed just fine. Waiting for it, paramedic Mike Nolan, there to pick up a friend, and noting to himself, it was windy.
It was an incredibly windy day. Having driven from the Ottawa Valley, it wasn't an easy drive either, but to watch the planes come in, in a bit of an angle, just fighting that headwind was a bit of a spectacle.
Mike's friend, another paramedic, American Pete Carlson. He was sitting in 10D, and he now says he too had high winds on his mind.
We're coming into land, and there had been comment early in the flight about strong winds. And as we made our descent and made touchdown, where all of a sudden everything just kind of went sideways. And then next thing I know is kind of a blink and I'm upside down, still strapped in. My very first thought was high winds.
You're tracking his flight, and you text him when you think it should have landed?
Yeah, I had a flight radar up just to make sure he was coming in on time. And watching that out of the corner of my eye, see a big black plume of smoke, but there's a bit of a delay on the radar. So I said, heads up.
Mike sends a quick series of texts. Who are you flying with? You okay? On the tarmac, Pete responds, remarkably. Good, Mike continues. The plane immediately ahead of you looks like it crashed. That's mine, Pete responds. And then he sends this picture. Hard to imagine keeping your wits about you like this, but paramedics are incredibly well trained. Mike Nolan, who's been in the field for years, immediately makes his way to the fire station adjacent to the airport for both his friend and a sense of duty.
Speaking with the local paramedics on site, there was a usefulness to have me there while they were managing some of the more injured people. And in doing that, was able to stay with Pete, but also to be able to support some of the other people from the aircraft.
Good to see a friendly face?
Oh yeah, yeah.
These are pictures Mike took of Pete's injuries being tended to.
It was a lot of relief to have someone you knew suddenly literally come into the bus and be a part of that. And I think everyone there today was looking for family, friends, etc. So yeah, it meant the world.
Pete, still bewildered in that moment, but somehow has the instinct to try to comfort a little boy who reminded him of his own child.
He's scared, uncomfortable physically, not feeling great. And so, I was doing kind of a check, where am I? And had my phone, the lock screen is a picture of my 3 children. So it was fun to be able to say, here's another 4-year-old, kind of offer a little bit of comfort, relatability.
You feel like you're a little different tonight?
I'm really excited. I always want to hug my wife and kids. Yes, that just went up like another magical notch, and different in a way that just, I feel really fortunate to have made it this many years without an experience like that. And so too early to kind of understand how it'll impact me, but I'm still digesting it.
Indeed, digesting it, healing from his injuries will take a while, of course, but both Pete and Mike have work to do. Today, they were both at a paramedic conference in Toronto on how to better serve communities, both of them just getting on with the business of caring for people. There are still so many questions about what went wrong in the final seconds of that landing.
The right wing is missing. It's not attached to the airplane. That means that the left wing is still producing lift.
Host of About That, Andrew Chang, examines what could make a plane flip over. Next. Investigators have been poring over video and wreckage to determine precisely how Delta Flight 4819 ended up flipped over in flames at Pearson Airport.
1 or 2 seconds and the airplane's upside down.
How it could have happened and the lucky brakes that saved lives.
When you look at, that fuel is either in the wing tanks, and if the wings were ripped off, the fuel basically was, separated from the aircraft itself.
Andrew Chang, host of About That, breaks down why it flipped over and how the plane's design played a role.
It takes an unbelievable amount of force to flip a 20-ton plane full of fuel and people upside down.
Drop it!
Holy Delta Airlines Flight 4819 crash-landed Monday afternoon at Toronto's Pearson International Airport. 80 people on board.
We just landed. Our plane crashed. It's upside down.
I was just in a plane crash. Oh my God.
The hard question is, why did this happen? But the easier question is, how did this happen? I'll try to answer both, but let's start with the how, because we can see how.
Oh.
Oh! Oh, no, 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 no.
It's hard to imagine how a plane can completely roll over when its entire design is intended to keep it stable and upright. The wings generate lift, but importantly, equal lift on both sides. And the weight distribution on a plane is very carefully considered to help preserve this balance. Where you put the luggage, where you put the fuel, where you put the passengers. But what happens when one of those wings snaps off? We can see from photos of the crash, at least one wing has been sheared right off. And we can see from this vantage point how that right wing was driven hard into the ground as the plane began tilting. The fire? That's likely from the fuel.
The wings sever right away upon impact. Imagine the wings with all the fuel tanks in there. If it's still intact after the impact, it could have turned into a fireball.
For that reason, that separation might have been the best possible thing that could have happened at that moment. And that's by design, because it keeps the cabin, where all the people are, from itself catching fire or even ripping apart entirely. But if you lose one wing, the other takes over, and that's not good.
That the right wing is missing. It's not attached to the airplane. That means that the left wing is still producing lift.
Consider a plane making a routine landing. Two wings intact. Plane stays upright. But when that same plane, for whatever reason, tilts violently to one side, enough for one wing to make contact with the ground and separate entirely, that other wing is still flying. As you just heard, it's generating lift, and it's throwing the whole plane out of whack.
We skidded like on our side and then flipped over on our back. There was like a big fireball out this left side of the plane. And when we got finished, it was I was upside down. Everybody else was there as well.
We can see the plane, in this case, rolling towards the wing that makes contact with the ground. And take a look at this moment where the plane is 90 degrees on its side. Imagine if there's any kind of crosswind at all on that wing, it would be exerting a force in the same direction the body of the plane is already rotating. That wing then crashes into the ground on the other side of the plane, and within an instant,
1 or 2 seconds and the airplane's upside down.
Oh my God.
Now, the harder question, and what investigators will be trying to figure out, is why the plane tipped to one side to begin with. Until the crash, everything about Flight 4819 seemed perfectly normal. An almost daily flight from Minneapolis to Toronto. It's a pretty straight shot, and on the approach, the plane makes one last turn to come in from the northeast.
Toronto Tower, Endeavour 4819, I'm runway 23.
That's the pilot of the plane approaching runway 23 at Toronto's airport. Air traffic control sees him coming and gives a warning.
Endeavour 4819, Toronto Tower, wind 27023, gust 33, clear to line on rate 23. You might get a slight bump in the glide path. There'll be an aircraft in front of it.
Now, I'll say right now, it's always hard to know exactly what these guys are saying because they speak so fast and it's almost like another language. And I'm not actually 100% sure if air traffic control is warning of a side bump or a slight bump, but warning the pilot of a side bump on the glide path could very well be referring to a crosswind on the plane's descent.
We can see strong wind. Wind is gusting up to 35 knots. So that's fairly strong wind in aviation terms.
From Environment Canada, we know that winds were gusting at this time at around 65 kilometers an hour. That sounds like a lot, but was it enough to flip the plane? Experts say the wind direction and speed were actually within the landing tolerance of this specific plane.
The wind was not precisely aligned with the runway, but it was within normal limits. So, and this is something professional pilots deal with a lot, is crosswinds.
And the airport's fire chief told reporters pretty clearly.
What we can say is the runway was dry and there was no crosswind conditions.
But here's the thing, even though this is coming from an official source, I don't fully understand on what basis they've so quickly ruled out crosswinds as a factor, because there were crosswinds at the time. And there are a couple of accounts from experts who believe the pilot, just before the crash, may have been executing what's called a crab maneuver to compensate for the wind, as evidenced by the aircraft banking to the right.
The correct maneuver is generally used when there's strong crosswind. So crosswind is wind coming from the left or coming from the right, rather than straight down the runway.
You can see what crabbing a plane looks like in this video posted on YouTube by SDTV Live. They're an aviation education channel. You're basically turning into the wind, trying to hold course, so you're not getting blown off your flight path. As you can see, it almost looks like flying sideways, the way a crab walks. But when you land, you have to turn sharply back in line with the runway. And depending on the size of the plane you're flying, sometimes you might even touch down while tilted, so that one wheel touches the ground before the other. Now, it's impossible for us to know if this was why the plane's right wing drove into the ground, because there are still other potential reasons things could have gone wrong.
From what the passengers have said, the airplane hit very firmly.
There is a world where if wind is jostling the plane enough and the plane hits the ground hard enough, that might cause the kind of crash we saw.
It could have played a role if it hit hard enough to have the main gear force the wing to break, then the departure of the wing causes it to go upside down.
And we know from how plane rollovers work, if you lose one wing, the stability of the entire plane can be catastrophically compromised.
4543 ground runway 24 right, data Golf altimeter 2993. Stand by. We need crash fire rescue on the runway. We need emergency services, runway 23. Yeah, we're on it. We got the call going out.
As with all such investigations, whatever information is on the plane's black box will be crucial in piecing together what happened in those final moments before the crash. But what everyone we spoke to seems to agree on is how impressive the response to the crash was.
They got 80 people out of that airplane in a very short period of time. The flight attendants did a great job. They got those exits open and they got people out of the airplane and moving away from it.
Air traffic control, fire crews, even medevac flights in transit that diverted towards the crash in a pinch the moment that plane went down, all of them had to make split-second decisions, Adrian. And while just over 20 people were hurt in this crash, everyone survived.
Thank you, Andrew. Now to another story we're working on. Days away from potentially crippling U.S. tariffs, some Canadian companies say they're seeing a boost as many opt to buy local. Lindsay Duncombe's on what the early numbers could mean across industries.
This is what Made in Canada looks like. Custom golf clubs designed, assembled, tested in this Burnaby warehouse. Owner Joshua Haywood sources as much Canadian material as he can.
It's about as Canadian as a golf company can possibly get, given the restrictions that we have from the manufacturing side.
In the past couple of weeks, business is up, way up.
Canadian sales have just gone through the roof, to our surprise, and I have no doubt that the reason for that is just because of all the issues that we're facing with Trump and the potential for the tariffs. Where are you from? We're based in Canada.
His inbox is filling up with inquiries, trying to find a Canadian brand. I will not buy American. I'm thinking of selling my irons, almost new, and purchasing Haywood irons solely because they are Canadian made. Haywood sells to the U.S. American tariffs would hurt, so new Canadian business is important.
You can watch Lindsay's story in the coming days right here in The National. Well, coming up, finding fun in the worst winter conditions.
I think at the end of the day, people love to see people having fun in the snow.
Ski jumping in the middle of Montreal. That's next in our moment. So imagine this. Your city just got walloped with 70 centimeters of snow in 4 days. You look down a hill and this is what you see. So as others were shoveling and grumbling, a group of students from McGill started ski jumping in the middle of Montreal. So tonight, some fun in the snow makes our moment.
It's really the best time ever. The weather in Montreal is, at least in my case, the most amount of snow I've ever seen. The snowplow pushing an entire car was definitely representative of what the city looks like right now. In front of my apartment, there's this huge mountain of snow. Our group of McGill friends, we worked on it for like 2 and a bit hours. Honestly, it's one of the quicker ski jumps I feel like we've made. We are about 6 or 7 of us. We have 3 shovels going. And I think everybody's just kind of locks into this mentality of we're like little kids again. We're making this jump and we're not going to stop until we get it. And at one point too, we were wondering, we hope there's not a car under here. So like checking a little. From the afternoon to past sundown, we were out there for sure. It's so much fun, like shovels, sledding down, trekking back up to the top.
Sliding in style.
My friend was honestly getting pretty good air. I think at the end of the day, people love to see people having fun in the snow. This is Canada, this is what I love, and I think that's my favorite part of it.
Oh, Montreal, we love you. One of the things Montreal's very good at is clearing the snow from the streets. So as of about 3 o'clock today, it was still there. And Emily says the whole group is kind of dreading the moment that one of those big old plows comes along and destroys it. From all of us at The National, thank you for being with us. You can watch anywhere, anytime on the free CBC News app and subscribe to The National's YouTube channel. I'm Adrienne Arsenault.